time for another Pick 6 podcast in association with Sportsbite and Sunderland University. It's Stu, Ed and Jason in the studio to talk all things NFL. Say hello to the wonderful...
Hello, amazing people.
I was going to say viewers, but technically it is viewers because we're on YouTube rather than...
And it's a static picture though, isn't it?
It is
just the one thing, yeah.
Should we start filming ourselves in here doing it? How would that go down? If you want that, let us know. I'm pretty sure no one wants to see our faces.
Oh, guaranteed.
I can't blame them, to be fair.
Guaranteed no one wants to see our faces. So we're back with another podcast about the NFL, and I've got a tale to tell of my weekend in London. It's mostly alcohol-related tale rather than football-related, but there you go. We're going to talk about some interesting trades and all this action going on in a special firing for the Browns because it was overdue by about 2 seasons, even though he's only been in the job 2 seasons and a bit. We'll go through the review of all the week's results and we'll look ahead to predictions. And I'm just going to throw this out there. Someone won the predictions for a second week running.
Oh, I wonder.
Of course they did.
Of course they did. Someone else in this room was close, but no cigar.
And the other person wasn't.
And the other person wasn't, and Connor was miles off. So we will start, and I think we'll start with the trades because they're the most recent thing that's cropped up in the NFL. The trade deadline was yesterday, as we're recording on a Wednesday, so it was Tuesday. And what were the big moves? Ed's got a piece of paper and he looks intent to read.
I am looking intent to read this. Okay, so I wrote down the 5 sort of marquee trades, I guess you could call them. We'll start off with Clinton Dix, who was traded by Green Bay to the Redskins for a 4th round pick. We've also got Dante Fowler getting traded by the Jags to the LA Rams for a 3rd round pick. Ty Montgomery was traded by Green Bay to the Ravens for a 7th. Demaryius Thomas was traded by the Broncos to the Texans for a 4th and a 7th. And last but not least, Golden Tate was traded by the Lions to the Eagles for a 3rd round pick.
Yeah, they're the ones, the deadline day trades. Obviously, we've got some more. Amari Cooper going from the Oakland Raiders to the Dallas Cowboys for a 1st round pick.
Apparently
Can anyone explain that one? I'll start with that one just because I don't understand it. You've got a wide receiver. You had Des Bryant, who's a big, tall receiver like Amari Cooper, drops a lot of balls like Amari Cooper.
Yep.
You get rid of him for free.
Yep.
Obviously, he was going to need to be paid a lot, and they were right to get rid of him, in my opinion, because he just wasn't doing the job for Dallas. But then you trade a 1st round pick for Amari Cooper, who's proven very little in the NFL since he joined the league in the draft.
So I think he was one of those players who was meant to be one of the big Raiders comeback stories. It was going to be him, Derek Carr, Khalil Mack coming in, and they've got rid of Khalil Mack now. Cooper's gone, and I can't see any sort of short-term future for the Raiders. I don't think
it's a whole kind of rebuilding job. I think John Gruden's gone in there. He's seen what he's got, and he's tried to work with it. I think he's a coach behind the times. He's been out of it for too long. He's got a 10-year contract, so he's got lots of time to work it. But he's doing what I do in Madden when I'm going, right, I'm going to do a rebuild. I'm just going to trade my good players and get draft picks and make stars out of those draft picks. So he's got 3 first-round draft picks. But you look at them, Chicago, I think, is going to become a mid-level pick. I think it's going to be in the middle, 8 and 8, so it'll be 16 and 20, probably just outside the playoffs. Then you look at the Dallas Cowboys, who are looking to go to the playoffs as well, and they could end up in the playoffs with the weak I don't want to say weak NFC East, but a competitive one where anyone can win that apart from the Giants.
Yes.
So that's going to be a highish pick as well. The only pick that's going to have a real impact is going to be their own pick because they'll be picking in the top 5, 6.
I think they're picking in the top 3, to be honest. 1 to 3, one of those.
Well, I think the Giants are going to rock up and get that first pick because I can't see them doing anything better. But that's going to be the main pick as the one they have. And yes, they're going to pick up 2 probably talented players in the first round, the end of the first round. It gives them potential to move up and down the draft as well. There's a lot of choices there, but then you look at it, they're getting rid of a receiver who struggles to catch a ball after an impressive rookie season.
Yeah.
He just hasn't lived up to the hype that he showed.
Yeah, 2 1,000-yard seasons, and then last season, and then this has just been the epitome of inconsistency. Cannot catch, cannot maintain possession of the ball, can't go for long stretches. It's just.
Would you say that could potentially be a coaching issue though? Because if he's got that raw talent as it is,
no, if you can't see, you can either catch a ball or you can't. Obviously not that plain and simple, but you can't teach someone to have good hands. Like, you can't teach them to go, because we had, like, I played like university football over here, and we had a wide receiver at Huddersfield who was quick as anything but couldn't catch a ball. Like, it's not something you can teach. You can teach it, yes, you can make someone better, but you can't make their hands elite. They're always going to have stone hands, essentially. So you look at Odell Beckham Jr., he's got hands, he can catch anything. Amari Cooper just doesn't have the hands to catch everything, and he is going to drop balls. It could be a great pick for Dallas, but when you look at the other two receivers who were picked up on deadline day for lesser draft picks, yes, Amari Cooper's 24, Golden Tate is 30, and Demaryius Thomas is reaching his late 20s. But I still think those two are better deals.
I think Thomas was the best pickup of that, attacking wise on offense. I think Demaryius Thomas is one of those players who, no matter what year he's in, no matter what QB he's getting passes from, he can catch it, and that's what Cooper might have been missing.
Yeah, I do like Demaryius Thomas. From the Eagles' perspective, I don't think he would have fit in because we've got Alshon Jeffrey.
Oh, yeah.
So, like, if we were taking a pick, I think we've got the receiver we would need. Although I'm not too sold on I am sold on Golden Tate as the player, but I'm not sold on him in the Eagles setup. But Demaryius Thomas is probably a couple of years ago when he had Peyton Manning, was a premier catch passer in the league. He was a top 5 fantasy pickup. He was a top 5 wide receiver. He has the talent. He's just kind of as you say, the quarterbacks he's had over the last 2 years are horrific. No. And Case Keenum is no better. I'm not a fan of Case Keenum at all. I think that was a dreadful trade. But they've had Brock Osweiler. How many bad quarterbacks have they had?
Paxton Lynch.
Paxton Lynch. They drafted Paxton Lynch in the first round.
Oh yeah.
And that they need a quarterback in Denver because their defense is solid.
Yep.
This is a 4th round pick. I think it's a good deal for both teams because I don't think Thomas would have stayed when he hits free agency.
Considering the Texans lost Will Fuller for the season,
yeah,
they need a receiver now.
They do.
Now
I think they've got the best receiver in the NFL, not named Antonio Brown, and DeAndre Hopkins.
Yep.
Will Fuller was the great complementary number 2. Now they have another great complementary number 2, and Demaryius Thomas. And I think they need a slot receiver still, but we saw what Deshaun Watson did last Thursday night. Absolutely demolished the Miami Dolphins. So if you were to pick one of the 3 receivers, we haven't really talked about the Eagles getting Golden Tate because for me, 3rd round pick is probably a bit much for an 8-game rental. But then again, the compensatory pick, he's going to get a big contract as Golden Tate because he's still a good receiver. Great yards after the catch. I think he's 2nd in the league yards after the catch. I think it's a good deal for the Eagles. I'd have liked to seen it for a 4th like Demaryius Thomas for an 8-game rental, as I say. But the Eagles need a receiver help, and they've got it.
That's it. Yeah, I mean, obviously Golden Tate's record speaks for itself in terms of he's shown he can play in the NFL and he's shown he can play to a high level. I was a bit puzzled when the Eagles picked him up because I know there's other teams that really need receiver help, like someone who's consistently good. But I mean, okay,
the Eagles do need help. Obviously, they've lost Mike Wallace, who was the deep threat early in the season.
Yeah,
and this screams to me that he's not going to be back this season, and that's going to be disappointing for Philadelphia. Alshon Jeffrey's come back and he's been Alshon Jeffrey. It's been fantastic. You needed that other threat. You've got Nelson Aguilar in the slot, which could be Golden Tate's place as well. Jordan Matthews has come back and done well, but he's a guy off the street. I think it just adds to the Eagles' offensive weaponry, who've got 2 fantastic tight ends as well. So it really lifts that offense because they've got another playmaker. Maybe don't have it in the backfield, which is what I thought they would probably do at the trade deadline, is get a running back in. Perhaps, obviously not Le'Veon Bell. People kept saying Le'Veon Bell to the Eagles. It was never going to happen. He's on too much money.
Oh, no.
And
not a chance.
And he wasn't going to sign the franchise tender. And he wants a long-term contract because he wants to protect himself. And he doesn't want to play under a franchise tender. So I think for the Eagles, it's a good pickup. I still worry about the run game. But for me, it shows you that everyone thinks they can go after the NFC East because the Redskins have picked up Clinton Dix, who
best name in the league as well.
Best name in the
easily.
league, and he was phenomenal his first couple of years. He's gone a bit downhill just because the Packers defense has been down. He wasn't what he once was, but he's still young and he's still a good player.
Oh yeah, I mean, again, this was one I think I heard a rumor about it yesterday on I was watching an American podcast on like YouTube or something, and I was a little bit surprised by it. Again, this goes back to my theory that I don't understand what Green Bay are doing in terms of supporting Aaron Rodgers and his ability. I mean, clearly he's one of the best quarterbacks in the league. He'll go down as one of the best quarterbacks of all time, in my opinion. And yet they don't give him anything, offensive or defensive. And then they trade away Clinton Dix for a 4th-round pick. And you never know, it might pay off into something.
It's a great deal for Washington, and it helps cover the route that the Cowboys and the Eagles have gone to get wide receivers, so they've got secondary help. They're top of the division. Yeah. And they can see it. No one expected them at the start of the season to come and win this division with the Super Bowl champions, Dallas coming back, and the New York Giants, who for some reason everyone picks every year, even though they've got Eli Manning as quarterback, to win something. But they made the defensive move, and another team who've just added another star is the LA Rams. Who
this is getting ridiculous now with the Rams.
They've basically gone, right, we're winning it this year. They have to.
They've just gone all in, and it's literally going to be this season or bust for them. Because that's the way they're going.
Yeah, I mean they've got people on a couple of year contracts. I think Jared Goff has to win a Super Bowl in his rookie window, and he's got him and Carson Wentz are up for renegotiation next year. That's when they can start renegotiating their contracts. They do have a 5th-year option, so it's either this year, next year, or the year after that they've got to win it. And who knows, one of those years ACL goes, and that's a year lost, and you've got all this talent. But for me, the Rams have got to win it this year. I think this is the year for the Rams. You look at the NFC, the only team that I can see contending with them is the New Orleans Saints.
Yeah, I think that's solid. Yeah.
Even so, I think the Rams overall, like if you look at the full roster, they've easily got the better squad.
Well, they've easily got the best roster in the NFL in terms of talent.
Yeah,
it's how that relates. And Sean McVay is obviously a fantastic coach. Jared Goff is turning into a 2nd-tier quarterback. So like you've got Rodgers, Brady, then he's in that 2nd tier with, I'd say, Wentz. Mahomes is just getting into that because I'm not sold on an 8-game span. Ben Roethlisberger, who's on the down trajectory. So he's in that 2nd tier for me, and he's just got into that 2nd tier, and he's got all that talent, but there's got to be a game this year where you see he wins it. Because he's got Todd Gurley in the backfield. He can just go turn around. There's the ball, Todd. Go get me 5 yards of carry.
I think Todd Gurley had a fantastic game.
Oh, he did.
Against the Packers, just incredible. Like because he was catching fantastically from the backfield as well.
Yeah, he's such an all-round back, and we're seeing a number of them. Him, Ezekiel Elliott, and Saquon Barkley, I think, will dominate the league.
Yeah,
and they're all in the NFC.
Yeah.
So if you look at the talent that's in the NFC compared to the AFC.
Would you say that the AFC is the weakest it's been in a long, long time?
I would say so. I think you look and you think, well, the Patriots, that's it. The next best team is probably, you look at Cincinnati, might be the best team, apart from the Chiefs. Obviously, I forgot the Chiefs. The Chiefs are probably the standout who will replace the Tom Brady team.
With Ben Roethlisberger, sort of, as you said, on the downward sort of trajectory of his career. I think it's Patriots Chiefs, and then after that it's an absolute free for all.
Yeah. I think the Steelers went downhill when Troy Polamalu left, and since then they have been, even if it is slowly, they've been gradually going downhill.
Yeah. Their defense is not what it once was, whereas Baltimore is getting a defense again that is to be feared.
Oh yeah,
and that's where I think that the shift of power is going to come in that. Cause until Andy Dalton does something in the playoffs, I'm not going to consider them.
Which I don't think is ever going to happen at this rate.
I'm not going to consider them a Super Bowl contender, a playoff contender, yes, a Super Bowl contender, a division contender as well. So we kind of got off track, but that's kind of what we wanted to do. So if you had to pick one of the trades that you think is the best out of all of them, I think you alluded to the Demaryius Thomas trade as being
I think as well, Dante Fowler, definitely. One of those two. I think the Rams now, there's no way that they're not reaching the Super Bowl.
Oh, that's big words.
That
is big words.
I'm putting that on record as well. The Rams will get to the Super Bowl.
The Rams every game will from now on get to the Super Bowl. I mean,
we'll watch them get 6 ACLs now.
Oh, in one game.
Oh yeah.
and have you seen who they're playing this week? The New Orleans Saints.
Ooh.
That is going to be a tasty one. We'll talk about that later on. Ed, who have you got as the pick of the the latest trades?
I'm going with Clinton Dix to the Redskins. I think considering the Redskins, and as you said, no one really rated them to do as well as they have, and they've then added to that.
Yeah, I agree with that. I'll go with Clinton Dix as well, because you add him to a secondary with Josh Norman in the secondary.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, there's a lot of offensive talent in the NFC East, especially with the Eagles and the Cowboys. Even the Giants have the playmakers as well. The Redskins have gone, right, they've got all this talent. We'll get two of the best secondary men in football. Obviously, they've always had Josh Norman for the last year since he left the Panthers. And now they've got Clinton Dix. And obviously, they've got Ryan Kerrigan up front. That defense is underrated.
Very underrated.
Very underrated. And that's what will win them this division, because they have Alex Smith at quarterback. And
he's consistent. He does the job.
Mr. Game Manager.
Yeah,
he is the definition of a game managing quarterback. Kind of like Dak Prescott. That's just my jibe at the Cowboys there.
Had to get it in there.
So that's the trades done and dusted. One more big bit of news is the Cleveland Browns have got rid of Hugh Jackson eventually.
It's just been a mass clear out in Ohio, hasn't it?
Horror.
Yeah, Todd Haley's gone as well, the offensive coordinator. They've kept Greg Williams, the defensive coordinator, and I think
he's gone in as interim head coach, I believe.
Yeah, he will have done, and you've got the likes of Myles Garrett there, who I think was complaining after the last game. I saw some comments from him as well. For the Browns, this is a much needed change of direction. It had to be done. It gives the Browns, because the seasons are right off for them, it gives the Browns 8 weeks to go find their guy, because we know a lot of teams get rid of their last is it's Black Monday where they get rid of their coaches.
This is now just a big half-season long scouting session for them.
Yeah, and they're gonna
seeing what they can get.
They're gonna have the first dib on whoever. They can speak to people. Well, I don't know whether they can speak to people now, but they can line up a short list now and get feelers out there for who they want. And they don't have to rush. They can pick their guy, as long as they don't get Chip Kelly or something like that.
So it is the Browns. I wouldn't put it past them.
It is. So, do you think? Well, I'm not going to say do you think Hugh Jackson should be sacked, because I think it's obvious.
That's a given.
That's a given.
Absolutely.
But what would you like to see? Is there anyone out there that you'd like to see the Browns go after? Is there any coordinators, or is there anyone who deserves a return as a coaching opportunity? I might have just thrown this one in without any preparation for you.
I think McDaniels is off the table for a while now after what he did to Indy. I forget his name, and it's so frustrating because it feels like it's on the tip of my tongue. But I feel like they should at least have a look at Baker's head coach at college.
Yeah.
Because, I mean, they've obviously invested heavily in Baker being their future quarterback. Surely it makes sense to have the man that brought him through the college system. For me, it makes sense. But, I mean, then you're gambling on whether he's got experience in the NFL.
Yeah.
What coordinators are going to be available.
Things would really want his own coordinators to come in as well. Will it be a mass turnaround, which I don't think they're going to want I know they've got rid of a couple of big names, but are they going to really want such a massive turnaround that the entire franchise could potentially get turned on its head?
Nothing surprises me with the Cleveland Browns, though, let's be honest.
The first place I've gone and looked is the LA Rams offensive front.
Yeah.
So I'm looking at the game. They don't really have, well, obviously because Sean McVay calls the plays, so they don't really have a coordinator. They've got a pass game coordinator, run game coordinator, probably Zach Taylor, the quarterback's coach, because that's what happened in Philadelphia last year. They lost Frank Reich and John DiFilippo to different jobs, because John DiFilippo was the quarterback's coach. He's now the offensive coordinator in Minnesota, I believe. And that's the place to go. The person who's worked with a young quarterback, same as Baker Mayfield. Do you go Zach Taylor? Someone like that.
Who's offensive coordinator at Kansas?
Kansas. It'll be one of the retreads that's had a job. I know it's Andy Reid, because that's what obviously Doug Peterson came from Kansas City to the Eagles 2 years ago, and he was classified as the worst coaching hire of I think that year and several years. And
wonder what happened there.
What happened there? And, he got caught there. Whoever said it got called out in the end. I'm just going to have a look now who's on the staff at the good old Kansas City Chiefs. Their offensive coordinator, Eric Bieniemy. Quarterbacks coach, Mike Kaffer, former Eagles quarterback. And you look defensively as well, Bob Sutton. Although their defense hasn't been that great. So you look at Eric
I think they're going to want an offensive-minded
for sure.
someone, definitely, just to get Baker Mayfield up to the level that people think that he can get to.
I think it's going to be a quarterbacks coach who's worked with a young quarterback. Mike Kafka was getting rave reviews. I read Sports Illustrated this week, and a lot of it is they brought in Mike Kafka as quarterbacks coach, not to be a quarterbacks coach for everyone. It was to specifically get Patrick Mahomes up to speed, because they had Alex Smith in the locker room at the time. The coach was brought in just to work with Patrick Mahomes, and that was a great article I read in Sports Illustrated. And perhaps he's the guy. Perhaps Mike Kafka is the guy who, perhaps not the head coaching role, but maybe the offensive coordinator role somewhere in the league, and working with a young quarterback like he has done with Patrick Mahomes, he's going to get probably good offers looking at that for an offensive coordinator role.
We make all these suggestions, and it'll be someone like Ben McAdoo or Jeff Fisher will find his
McAdoo.
way back into
Jeff
the
Fisher,
league.
yes.
7-9.
Get the Tash back in.
Jeff
I've missed that.
Fisher. So there we go. We have done and dusted all the news, have we? Or was there anything else that you guys have been looking at and seen on the NFL website or whatnot? Anything else going on in the world of NFL that's come to mind? Or should we go on to our review over the week?
I think we can.
We can move on unless we think of something later on, but I think we're safe to move on.
There we go now. We'll start off with Ed this week. Ed, it's time to paint a picture.
Oh, crikey.
Oh, good pun.
There we go. I've got my puns in. There we go. I've got plenty of them.
Right, so for me this week, I picked the Colts against the Raiders, purely out of the curiosity of what the Raiders were going to look like following trading Amari Cooper away and moving Marshawn Lynch onto IR, because I have no idea what they were going to look like either. And to be fair to them, at the end of the third quarter, they were leading 28-24, and you're thinking, Derek Carr's playing brilliant football. It looks like, okay, there seems to be a little bit of confidence in the side, and then it just all goes hell to leather in the fourth quarter. Colts score 21 unanswered points, win the game 42-28. It all goes to hell. It's just a microcosm of what the Raiders are like defensively, really.
Yeah, they could do with a pass rusher, don't you think? An elite pass rusher?
They could do with everyone.
Elite pass rusher. Because
I was hearing Bruce Irvin was on the table for trade. Obviously, that didn't happen, but I think they're just absolutely blowing it up.
For me,
tanking, starting again.
For me, Oakland 1-6. You've kind of just that's it. Season's gone. You've just got to give young talent a go, and I say that. Derek Carr, 75% of his passes completed, 244 and 3 touchdowns.
Yeah.
Jared Cook, who's probably their only offensive receiving threat. I know they've got Jordy Nelson, but I think he's past his prime.
Jordy Nelson had a quiet game. When you look at the other receivers who scored touchdowns, you've got Seth Roberts and Brandon LaFell as the other touchdown scorers there.
The thing about Jordy Nelson as well is that he's not getting passes from Aaron Rodgers anymore.
Yeah.
I feel like if anyone, bar Amari Cooper maybe, could catch a pass from Aaron Rodgers.
I think his latest ACL injury when he was at the Packers as well, I think that's just done him, because he's aging. He's had this ACL now, and he's gone to a team that is struggling. And yes, I agree, he's had Aaron Rodgers for years and just hasn't quite done the job. But 21 unanswered points in the fourth quarter is not good, and you're not going to win many games when you do that.
Oh no, it didn't help that with the scores still tight, that Doug Martin fumbles the ball.
Yeah.
And that was the backbreaker, because I'm pretty sure the Colts scored off of that fumble. So,
let's talk a bit about the Colts, because we've talked about how bad the Raiders are. The Colts are starting to look like they're turning a corner after a bad couple of years. Obviously, Andrew Luck's coming back, but they've found someone in Marlon Mack.
He looks like he's a player.
I think he's not the real deal, but he's up there definitely.
For me, he's going to be a solid running back in the ilk of. I'm trying to think of someone who's solid, but not like you wouldn't immediately go to elite. So
maybe late Frank Gore.
Late yes, Frank Gore. Yeah. I would say, but Frank Gore is going to go to the Hall of Fame, I think, just for his overall career. I'm just trying to think of someone. So like kind of like the pair that had in D'Angelo Williams when he was in Carolina. He was a great running back, a great good running back, but you'd never say, he's top. Like he's going to be top 5, top 6. I think he had one season where he was, but he's that type of ilk of. He looks a player, but you're never going to be. There's Saquon Barkley, there's Ezekiel Elliott kind of type talent. But I picked him up in fantasy, so I'm happy, and I've got him in my fantasy dynasty league as well. So he can do the job. And Andrew Luck, 22 of 31, 239, 3 TDs. Is he getting back to what he was when he was drafted as a generational quarterback? Really,
I think so.
I hope so.
I think the fact that with a new offensive line coach, and I think they picked 1 or 2 rookies this year in the draft, the offensive line, which has been just porous at best the last couple of seasons, actually looks competent now.
I think the one thing that will let the Colts down is they've never had defense.
No,
not in the last, not the last 2 years. Not since they had Peyton Manning, when they had Dwight Freeney and Robert Mathis going at quarterbacks for years. The defense is always going to give up 30 points a game to good offenses, and
every GM head coach they've had in hasn't made a conscious effort to really put money into that defense.
Yeah. But they've got Frank Reich in now from the Eagles. Again, an offensive-minded coach. But I agree that he needs to find a defensive coordinator who can build a defense. Like, just say, right, here's so much of the salary cap. Just go build a defense. Him and the general manager over there, and just get a defense.
Well, considering up until essentially the day that they were going to announce Josh McDaniels, that it was going to be Josh McDaniels, that fell through, and it seemed like a couple of days later they announced Frank Reich. You wonder how much planning went into let's give this guy the job instead.
But I think Frank Reich has got a lot to prove, because he's second choice.
Yeah,
he's come from a Super Bowl winning offense that he's led Nick Foles to a Super Bowl.
Yes, bravo.
That's on his CV.
Yeah,
and I think he's got a point of view, and I think he'll do the job. So that is Ed painting a picture. Now Jason on the button.
Oh, first of all, 10 out of 10 puns.
Wait till my next one.
Oh dear.
Oh, I cannot wait for that one. So I had the Packers at the Rams, and the Rams basically showing that punters are in fact people too. They were 10-0 down thanks to Mason Crosby and a rushing field goal, rushing touchdown.
Bravo.
Then Pack defense was absolutely dominant in the first half, kept the Rams to no points until the 2-minute warning. There was a Rams fake punt in the second quarter from Johnny Hecker, and that just set the Rams on their way with Pac-12 markings on the field, very similar to the NFL/Premier League game at Wembley on, what was that, Monday night?
Yeah.
And again, Johnny Hecker coming up again with a fantastic punt down to the Pack to keep the Packers at their own 1 yard line. They forced a safety, and that changed the game. They then had a passing touchdown to bring it up to 10-8 in the half. Third quarter was just absolutely manic with points. Rams came 10-15 up in those 15 minutes alone, and then they just carried on going and were able to get another win. So they're still unbeaten, which is very impressive.
Yeah, 8-0, 29-27 the score, and that safety. You mentioned the safety changed the game.
Oh, definitely.
It's a 2-point game, and the one Jared Goff, 295, 3 TDs. Todd Gurley alluded to earlier, the recipient of one of those TDs anyway through the end. Josh Reynolds, the tight end.
Todd Gurley as well. I just feel like we should mention that as the Rams were running down the clock, he had a chance to go straight in for another touchdown, completely kill the game, but with a chance for the Packers to come back. And we all know Aaron Rodgers can do that. He can quite easily throw a bomb up the field, Hail Mary, end the game. But no, he had nobody near him. He practically stopped on the 3 yard line and waited to be tackled.
It's
run the clock down.
I've seen that a couple of times where it's veteran running backs and smart running backs will sit down.
Oh yeah,
and just we're only winning by 2 points, but they're not getting the ball anymore because we're just going to kneel. And I saw Brian Westbrook do it. I think I've seen one other do it, and I've seen people go in and then the other team walk up the other end, score a touchdown, get the onside kick. It just secures your victory. I know a lot of fantasy owners. I'm in a fantasy league, and they're all going, "What's he doing? It wouldn't have made a difference. He should have just gone in." And I had to explain it to them. No, he's done the right thing there because they have won the game. That just shows you smarts.
It's the sort of situation that you don't see often, and then when you do, you've really got to praise the back for getting into that mentality of the win comes before stats or points or anything like that.
And Todd Gurley knows. I think he'll have been like Sean McVay will have told him, right, probably not then, but Sean McVay he exudes confidence and he exudes knowledge. Just from some videos I've seen where he's recalling players, he will have installed into his players that you've got to manage the game in certain situations, and I think they did it well there. You look at looking at the talent when you Yeah, I've got the stat sheet up. You've got Jared Goff, Todd Gurley, Brandon Cooks, Robert Woods, Gerald Everett. Just so much talent on offense, and then you look at defense, and you've got Marcus Peters, Mark Barron, Aaron Donald, and Dominican Sue, Michael Brockers, Sam Shields. Add in Dante Fowler. It is stacked, and they have one of the best kickers, Greg Zuerlein, and one of the best punters, John Hecker, as well. They are the perfectly rounded team.
I think you mentioned the kicker and the punter there as well, and I can't think of a better special teams unit, or not necessarily unit, but specific positions. Those kicking players, you don't get. There's no one else like them as a pair in the league. I don't think.
I'd agree with that. I'd say obviously you think kickers, you think Justin Tucker, but as a pair, probably the best special teams duo of kicking talent in the league.
And the fact that you see Johnny Hecker go for trick plays as well a lot of the time. It's like 4 or 5 times a season. You don't get that from many punters.
Yeah, you don't. There was one, I think it was the Seahawks game, where there was a punter. He was going to go for a safety in his own end zone. He ran with it because a safety in his own end zone. He would have given up 2 points. He was punting anyway, but the punt would have obviously been a lot further than being on the back of his own yard line. And then he ran to his right, ready to just run out of bounds to give with a safety. And then suddenly just a lane opened up to the first down marker, so he just went, "Oh, hang on, I'm just going to run this." And he ran the end. I'm sure it was the Seahawks. Let's get it up. Michael Dixon. I think he was the punter. Yeah, the Aussie punter, Michael Dixon. He was in his own end zone. The first down was at the 9-yard line or the 10-yard line, and he just ran for 9 yards.
Fantastic.
Because they all bull rushed. They all knew what he was going to do, so they just wanted to rush to try and force a safety or even a touchdown if it goes wrong. And he just ran round and went for a first down. It was fantastic. If you get a chance, see that one. I'll talk about my game now. Obviously, I was at London to watch the Eagles against the Jaguars. A lot of drinking with American people I just met in the street to a couple of meetups. But it was a good game of football, and it was important the Eagles won it, because without this game they would be out of the playoff race and out of the NFC East. And it started badly with Carson Wentz fumbling on the second drive. Or was it the first? Might be in the first drive he was on. He fumbled. I thought it was a hand going forward with the ball. It was hit. I understand it was a fumble and picked it up, and he made it. You see his tackle that he made as well. It was a phenomenal tackle. But there was a flag on the play anyway, so it went further back. The Jags just didn't have that end product to get the ball in the end zone. Lots of field goals. And the Eagles, interception in the end zone. Jalen Ramsey picked off Carson Wentz with his only bad decision, I'd say. He was trying to force the ball to our third-string tight end, Paul Perkins, who was covered by a linebacker, but Jalen Ramsey spotted it straight away, came off in the end zone, had a simple interception. But from that point on, Carson Wentz was Carson Wentz again, and he just surgically dominated a Jacksonville Jaguars defense that's on the decline at the moment.
Because I think it was when they got to the AFC Championship, it was the defense that carried them.
Yeah. The defense is good. They were missing 4 of their secondary, which helps, obviously. Jordan Matthews had a good day, 93 yards on 4 catches. But Carson Wentz he's just surgical. You just see him at the line of scrimmage. He's surgical. Carves open defenses, and now he's got the talent of Golden Tate as well. Still need a running back. Josh Adams, the undrafted rookie, looked really good when he did a few big runs. Smallwood isn't quite doing it. Corey Clement, who everyone thought was going to take on the role this year, has been really poor this year. Defensively, the Eagles are still suspect a bit, but Avonte Maddox was flying about in the backfield, making tackles, made a game-changing fumble. When the Jaguars were going to go at halftime, they were probably going to go and score another 3 points at least. So it would be 9-3 at the half. But Maddox's fumble picked up by Jenkins turned into Dallas Goedert's touchdown. And I think the Eagles, it's an important few weeks for the Eagles because they've got the bye. They lost Lane Johnson, the right tackle. Jason Peters isn't what he once was, who's probably a Hall of Fame left tackle, but he's picking up injuries left, right and centre. And the Eagles, it was an important game for the Eagles. Jaguars, they need to get rid of Blake Bortles, but they can't. He's on such he's signed a new contract, but he's not a quarterback you can trust. if you watch the two quarterbacks, Carson Wentz ran, but his eyes were always downfield. Blake Bortles ran because he didn't know what to do. That's the difference between the two quarterbacks.
Yeah, that's it. I mean, God, it looks like such a smart decision now to give Blake Bortles that money, doesn't it?
Yeah.
I'd honestly, it's. I mean, whether it's drafting another quarterback for Jacksonville or whether it's signing a veteran or something, they need to do something to address that position, because otherwise, a la the situation I mentioned before about Green Bay wasting Aaron Rodgers, it's going to be a case of Jacksonville wasting that amazing defense that they've been building.
And they're already kind of dismantling it with Fowler
Yeah,
going.
exactly.
And how long can they keep those players together? So that is the roundup of games that we've kind of all had a little focus on. We'll go through the results one by one, starting with Deshaun Watson versus the Miami Dolphins, where he threw for 5 touchdowns and absolutely dominated the Dolphins to move to 5-3. The Texans and probably in charge of that AFC South.
You'd think so, wouldn't you? I mean, the Colts are coming back, not in like a meteoric rise kind of way, but they're getting their order together now. The Titans, very uncertain of the Titans and of Mariota as well. I'm not 100% sure what I'm thinking of him. And then, yes, I think it's the Houston Texans division, to be honest.
See, I think Mariota's an odd one because he came in with so much promise, and his first couple of weeks, I can remember, he started the season really well.
Remember there was the conversation at the draft when they're like, oh, you know, who are we going to pick? Is it going to be Jameis Winston or is it going to be Marcus Mariota? Who's going to make that crucial decision to decide their franchise? And now you're thinking, well, Jameis Winston's probably not going to be the Bucs' quarterback for long enough.
No, not for his poor interception day that we'll get onto in a bit. And it's kind of, you've got those two, and then you look at another draft like Goff and Wentz going 1 and 2, and you just go, if you're either of those franchises, why couldn't it have been bad that year rather than this year? But yeah, they're in trouble, both those teams, in my opinion. Panthers moved to 5-2 with a 36-21 win over the Baltimore Ravens, who, I think they've lost 3 in a row now, the Baltimore Ravens.
They started well, didn't they? And people were starting to whisper about whether or not this might be Joe Flacco coming back. And
Joe
Baltimore
Flacco.
Ravens, but I've been impressed by the Panthers. I've never been a massive Panthers fan, I'll say that right now, but I think they really wobbled after that. They lost the Super Bowl to the Broncos those years back, and they sort of struggled to really get themselves back into that kind of legitimate kind of championship contender kind of role. I'm not saying that's what they are now, but they look a damn sight better than they
That's the thing, because they're 5-2 at the moment, and the only reason that they're not top for me is because of Drew Brees.
Yeah.
If it wasn't for that, then they'd be at least joint top in the NFC South.
I'm just going to preface that by they were terrible against the Eagles for 3 quarters, and then the Eagles let them get back into the game. But they scored no points in 3 quarters, and Cam Newton looked horrendous. When Cam Newton is forced to pass the ball and not allowed to run, he's not good enough for me. I know he's another first overall pick, but he's a slightly better Jameis Winston. I say slightly, quite a bit better Jameis Winston, but for me, he's still not a Super Bowl contending quarterback. He's had 1 run. I don't think he'll have another one.
It's an odd one because we know what he can do. It's just I think, like you said, as soon as he's forced to pass it, you need a defense who, if you're going to play against him, what you need is someone who can really block up that box, not let him outside, and again just force him to stay in the pocket because there's not as much skill there from him as there should be with a top tier quarterback.
Yeah, I think what has helped him is having McCaffrey, who gets on the outside, so the linebackers have to drop and cover McCaffrey, or they've got to put a corner on him. It leaves one less in the box, and when he drops back, you can just see that he wants to run it. You
can see in his stance as well as he steps back. He's always got his shoulders forwards, seeing where he could go.
Yeah, I had a discussion with some of the Eagles fans when we were watching the game afterwards, after the London game, and for me, the problem with Cam Newton is it's all about Cam Newton as well.
Yeah.
He could score 4 touchdowns and they could lose by 1, and I think Cam Newton would be happy. That's just the persona he kind of gives off. It might not be like that, but that's just the persona I see in him.
Yeah, I agree with that.
We'll go on to another game. Kansas City Chiefs, so probably the stars of the AFC. 30, Denver Broncos 23, and Patrick Mahomes doing Patrick Mahomes things. He's got now 26 touchdowns in 8 games.
I mean, considering Denver's defense as well, and he's throwing them all over the park, then I mean, impressive stuff, really, isn't it? What else to say?
And did you see that Kareem Hunt run as well from the
reception?
Oh,
yeah,
where he was just how did he do that? Like a little shovel pass by Patrick Mahomes, and he just took it over, round through people in the end zone. That was fantastic to watch. Elsewhere, Steelers Browns. We kind of mentioned this, but Steelers 4-2-1, 33 points on the board against Cleveland, who are 2-5-1. And yeah, Ben Roethlisberger 257 for 2 TDs, but it's James Conner who's gone 146 yards and 2 touchdowns. Le'Veon Bell,
Who's that, sorry?
Exactly.
A note on Ben Roethlisberger. I just read on my phone that apparently he's fractured his finger in his non-throwing hand. Whether that makes any difference or not. But the man seems to pick up a couple of injuries every season.
Yeah, it's always kind of a break to something.
Yeah.
And that might be a problem with his snaps, but I think he's done it before and he just wears a glove and it's all fine.
Yeah, I think especially on the non-throwing hands, unless there's a defensive player who really goes in for him, I
think it's one of those things where a defense will look at him and think, oh look, he's a little bit crocked again.
Yeah.
Let's put a little bit extra into it.
Yeah, especially when he's back there, you'll aim to swing and hit that hand. We'll see what happens. Detroit 14, Seattle Seahawks 28. Seattle moves to 4-3. Russell Wilson, is he starting to do Russell Wilson things? He only threw 17 times, but he threw for 248 yards and 3 touchdowns.
I feel sorry for Russell Wilson sometimes because
he's kind of like the Aaron Rodgers part 2, isn't it?
Yeah. Who's he got?
Yeah,
he had the Legion of Boom, and they're not there anymore. So
doesn't have the Legion of Boom. He has probably the worst offensive line in football, other than the Giants.
You may as well not have an offensive line.
Yeah,
may as well just stick Russell Wilson there on his own.
You look at the receiving talent. Top of it is David Moore.
What talent?
Exactly. Ed Dixon. I like Tyler Lockett, to be fair. He's good, but again, he's a slot, pacey receiver. They need a big target for him that they had in Jimmy Graham before he went to the Packers.
Can you imagine if Russell Wilson had 3 or 4 options like Jared Goff has?
Yeah.
I think they'd again be just a constant playoff team.
They were when they had the defense and Russell Wilson. Now they just have Russell Wilson. He can't do it on his own. He'll give it his best. They may sneak into the playoffs in a wild card, but 4-3, they've got to start getting wins on the board.
Wild card at best for Seahawks,
especially with them being in the Rams division.
Yeah.
Indeed. We're Bengals, Buccaneers. We haven't discussed that one yet. Andy Dalton doing average things. 280.
So that's Andy Dalton things.
Doing Andy Dalton things. 280 yards, 2 TDs. Yeah, he's done well. Mixon, good running back, good running game. 123 yards, 2 touchdowns. The Buccaneers, well, Jameis Winston, 4 interceptions. Let's give Fitzmagic a go. 194 yards, 2 TDs.
Almost wins it.
Why do they not go with a quarterback who can play football?
Well, haven't they named Ryan Fitzpatrick as the starter now?
They have to have done.
Things like they should have done. I mean, I know he had one bad game. On what was that? Week 2, week 3?
Yeah.
Against the Bears.
Of all the interceptions on Jameis Winston, of all the interceptions that Eli Manning has had in the last couple of years, in just this season, Jameis Winston is either closing in on him or has topped him.
Yeah. I think it's getting me the vibe where, does anyone remember Jamarcus Russell?
Oh, that's a name I never thought I'd hear again.
That's a blast from the past.
That's the kind of thing he's starting to look like. He's kind of starting to look like he's not bothered, and he's just throwing willy-nilly interceptions. Just to improve on that, Jameis Winston, who has got ability to run as a quarterback, 3 carries for 18 yards. Ryan Fitzpatrick, 1 carry for 18 yards. That kind of seems but again, you look at the talent they've got on offense. You've got Mike Evans, who went 6 for 179 in a TD. You've got Deshaun Jackson, who wants a trade, but he's not getting a trade. He asked for one. Adam Humphries, I think, is a good slot receiver. You've got O.J. Howard, Cameron Brate. They've got a lot of talent on offense.
I like O.J. Howard. When he was in the draft, I wanted New England to get him. But I mean, with that kind of talent, you've really got to complement it with a quarterback who's competent at the position.
See, I remember Mike Evans' rookie year because it was Winston's as well, wasn't it?
Yeah.
And I remember them ripping up the league for the first 7 or 8 games, and no one really knew what to do with them.
There wasn't that the year Tampa Bay came a win or 2 away from playoffs or something like this.
Yeah, could have been. I'm just gonna.
Those were the days.
I'm trying to search for Jameis Winston on Wikipedia, but apparently it doesn't exist.
Probably hiding.
He is probably hiding in indeed. So next game up, I think it was the Bears.
Mitch Trubisky doing Mitch
24.
Trubisky things.
I think that's a stretch. he was just over 50% passing, 220 yards, 2 TDs. He did the job.
I think one of those passes was what was it?
Tariq Cohen.
Yeah, it was a screen halfway downfield.
Yeah, for me, again, I'll go back to it. Trubisky is in that important development stage where he needs game time, and he's going to have really good weeks because I think he's going to be a top 15, top 10 quarterback.
I think he can get top 10, definitely.
I think he can get in the top 10, but I think he'll have a career where he's a 10 to 15 kind of guy. But he's got the talent to be a top 7. And he's showing flashes of it. This just wasn't one of those games. Although the Jets do have a good defense, to be fair to them. Sam Darnold doesn't look like he has. I'm not sold on Sam Darnold.
Well, wasn't he like all these pundits were all saying that Sam Darnold was the quarterback to take it, like number 1 overall? And when the Browns went with Baker Mayfield, it was all hellfire and oh my god, what are they doing? Oh, typical Browns picking the complete wrong quarterback at number 1. And Darnold started the season well. Like it was like oh crikey, you know.
And we are joined by Connor Bromley in the studio with his NFL jersey that he's always got a nice hockey jersey on. But he will be joining us now. Don't worry, we've just slated you for 45 minutes.
That's fine. Let's go.
We're going. So, what did you think of the NFL? We'll just turn to you. What do you think of the NFL action this weekend?
Okay, so
No pressure.
what I thought was it made Monday Night Football in the Premier League interesting because there was an NFL logo on the pitch.
Yeah.
I saw that Philadelphia won 24-17.
24-18. But you're within one.
So close.
So
We'll get
close.
We'll give you
So
a.
close.
Oh no, you said that Jaguars were going to win because
Yeah, I did.
Cat beats Bird.
Yeah, so apart from really my mascot predictions, that's really I just kind of see if I've got any right. And apparently, I got 50%. I think
You got 50%.
50% solid.
Well, I got like over 90%. So
I know, but you are not limited by.
We have not gone on predictions yet. We'll save that for another story. I was just saying what happened this week of the NFL.
So I think Atlanta won.
Yeah, there we go.
So I track what they do.
Atlanta won. We're midway through our weekly review of the fixtures, and we've probably got the worst game on the card. the Cardinals versus the 49ers.
18-15. Yeah, big game.
18-15. Two teams who have combined for 3 wins, and one of them was
Cardinals,
in this game.
Cardinals had a strong fourth quarter.
Yeah, they did 15
Yeah,
points.
15 points.
Yeah.
Big for them. Yeah.
CJ Beathard threw for 190 yards
You know,
and a touchdown.
I was saying that he was going to be big for them.
You did, and you were
Yeah.
wrong, as per usual.
I do like Tyreek Hill. Whenever I watch the NFL highlights, he seems to be all over it.
You just come in here, and we've got a structure, and you're just
I know. I
throwing
just
flames
throw
on our structure.
I'm just throwing out what I know, just so that you can
You get-
not realize I'm a moron. So yeah.
we'll soon realise. Josh Rosen, 252, 2 touchdowns and an interception, and he gets the win, if you can call it a win.
Does anyone win with that game?
No,
Who's the real winner here?
no one is the real winner.
The real winners are the people who didn't watch it, I think.
Yeah, Minnesota versus the Saints. Saints moved to 6-1. Kirk Cousins threw for 359 yards, 2 TDs, but Drew Brees apparently didn't throw for any yards according to whatever website I'm on. It
You're
says
actually just using basic Google here.
Yeah,
That's the issue.
I'm using basic Google. It says no yards. He threw 18 for 23, no yards, a TD, and an interception.
Wow.
That's impressive.
Yeah,
that.
I mean, wow.
I mean, we knew it was special, but
You
that must be something.
sideways.
Yeah, but they somehow won. Oh well. Taysom Hill, my favourite player in the NFL because he's a quarterback who runs punts and tackles and just does everything. He threw 1 for 144 yards. But yeah, Saints probably the pick of the NFC, not named LA.
Yep.
And the final game, Patriots bored everyone to death with field goals for the first 3 quarters against the Buffalo Bills, and then decided, we'll score a
That
touchdown.
was a tough game to watch.
Derek Anderson got a concussion, so Nathan Peterman's back for
Oh, go on, Nathan.
for their game
Peterman.
against the Bears.
Fantastic.
There we go.
You're
So-
welcome.
So that is that. We have done our weekly review, and you've just joined us in time for the predictions
That's
part
why
of
I
the
came
show.
down.
I will get my pen out, and we will go through the predictions.
dear.
Last week, anyone hazard a guess who won?
I already-
For the second week running.
I mean, I'd rather not say, to be honest. I don't think.
You were 13 out of 14 this. mammoth behemoth of predicting got?
The thing is, though, is, right, you normally have the same consensus picks, which makes me wonder that, like, should you not be betting on the NFL every week and making like millions?
I did, but then I bet on every.
Yeah, why would you bet on every game? Just bet on 5 games.
I even bet on one of the games that I predicted right in this and predicted wrong on my bet.
Yeah, so if you just pick 5 games, then
What happens if I pick the game that? I'll do that this week. I'll pick.
you play a percentage game.
I will play the percentages.
I mean,
Gamble
13
responsibly,
yeah.
everybody.
Yes.
Yeah, Sports Bite does not advocate gambling. but-
Exactly. Or swearing, like
Or
last
swearing.
week from you. We're watching you, Connor Bromley. No swearing. 49ers versus Raiders in what is a thrilling encounter of everyone's dreams.
If the Raiders can't, I've got to go Raiders. Surely they can't lose to CJ Beathard.
I'm going to go with the 49ers because CJ Beathard is not a bad football player, just a bad quarterback.
Yeah.
I'm going Raiders, I think.
Well, I'm going to say 40.
Remember, Raiders are pirate, and you hate the 49ers because what are they?
They're just a number, which is why I'm suggesting that if the 49ers were, say, £49 and it was a pirate, then the pirate would win because it would steal the £49. So I
Well,
think they're going to
what-
steal a victory.
What happens if it was a 49 pounds as in weight? What happens if it was 49 stone?
No, for me, it's money in this instance.
All right.
Raiders win.
Raiders win. Next up, it's the Redskins versus the Falcons.
Ooh.
Well, Falcons are scary birds. I've been near a big falcon before and I was slightly scared. So I'm going to pick Falcons.
There we go.
I think I'm going to go Redskins, Especially with Ha Clinton Dix. I think he's going to come in and really make a name for himself.
Yeah, you should have researched Ha Clinton Dix, Connor.
I have no idea what you're talking about.
There we go. Ha Clinton Dix is the name of a player.
I thought you were saying
True or false?
I thought you were trying to take on me.
Is there a player in the NFL called Ha Clinton Dix? Yes or no?
You just said yes, so obviously true.
There we go.
Damn it.
That's a game for next week, though. I'm going to
Yeah, you should do that.
find 10 players with obscure names. DeBrickashaw Ferguson, yes or no? Is that a former NFL player or current NFL player or not a player at all? Or not even a person? DeBrickashaw Ferguson.
The fact that I think it's obviously a player.
There we go. You're
Because
right.
Why else would you come up with that name right now on the spot?
That's why I try to
That's why you need to give like a... Yeah, I'm not stupid. I mean, I might not know anything about American football, but I'm not an idiot.
Well, tune in next week for the Connor quiz. If he gets more than 7 out of 10, we'll take him for a coffee.
I don't drink coffee.
We'll take him for a
For a
beer.
pint.
A nice juice.
A nice juice. There you go.
You see as well drinking a
What
juice.
what was I up to?
Just
Ed, you need a pick.
Redskins. Go on then.
There we go. Vikings versus Lions in a battle in the NFC
Ooh.
North.
It's an interesting
Kirk
one. that
Cousins.
one.
versus
I don't know,
That's a toughie.
Yeah.
I'll go Lions.
Wrong.
A lion against a Viking. See, for a lion to be in with a Viking, one of them's out of their natural habitat. So that's interesting.
So what? Are they taking it on a boat?
Who's at home?
Vikings, I think. I don't know because they change it on, like Americans do it at. So
Yeah, it's
the
stupid,
second
isn't
team. Let's get it up. Let's get it up. That's not even a song. Minnesota versus Detroit
Must be in Detroit.
versus Detroit.
Yeah, it'll be in Detroit.
It is US Bank Stadium, so that is in
That's
Minnesota.
Minnesota. So what? A lion has to go to Minnesota. Minnesota's cold. It's known for being cold. I reckon the Viking would beat the lion in them sort of that kind of environment.
So you're going Vikings?
Yeah, I'm going Vikings.
I am going Vikings because I like Adam Thielen and Stephon Diggs, the best wide receiver pair in the NFL.
I think I'm going to go Lions.
Wrong.
In that weather, do you really think a lion could win?
Exactly.
It's a domed stadium.
And you've got Kirk Cousins.
That's true.
There
They've
you
got to
go.
they've got to get to the stadium.
Well,
True.
a lion would maul everyone on its way to the stadium.
Oh, it'd be too cold, man.
So how would the lion get into the environment in the first place? Because
That's not my problem. That's the fixture. I can't help what the fixture got to produce.
Well, you're in a high place here at Sports, but get it sorted. You can sort the NFL fixtures. Like Neil Reynolds. Neil Reynolds obviously picks the Sky Games.
Oh, he does everything, doesn't he?
Yeah, he picks the Sky Games, and like he goes on Twitter and says, "I've got no control of the Sky Games," and then everyone just goes, "Pick a better game, Neil." He has no say in it. To be fair to him, Neil. Ravens versus Steelers, and what could be a good game actually.
Oh, I'm going Ravens.
I'm going Ravens too.
Especially with this supposed injury for Ben Roethlisberger and Ravens defense.
I've gone 4 home wins so far because I picked the Ravens.
I think if a Raven goes against basically a long steel girder is what I've got in my head.
No, a Steeler is someone who works in a steel mill. So it's a person.
You've blown his mind.
It's known as the Steel City. So somebody works there. Who are they playing again?
Ravens.
They're playing against a bird. Ravens aren't really that intimidating, are they? They pick dead bodies. I'm going to go with Steelers.
What happens if the Steeler man is dead?
Well, then obviously there's no fixture, isn't there? Because they've already lost the fight.
But it's not a fight.
There's a fight.
It's an NFL game.
That'd be my choice.
So who are you picking?
I just told you Steelers.
I don't listen to what you say ever. Browns versus Chiefs. Yeah, I'll just pencil this. Well, I'll pencil 3 of us in.
Yeah,
Paul,
Yeah, Chiefs all the way.
Yeah.
I've already said that
Baker
Cleveland
Mayfield will throw for 450 odd yards and
Cleveland Brown represents poop. Poop never wins.
Poop. That's the name of the podcast.
So
Ladies
is-
and gentlemen, poop never wins. Dolphins versus Jets.
oh wow, Brock Osweiler versus Sam Darnold.
Ugh.
That's going to be a fun matchup for everyone involved.
Define fun.
Funny.
Ah, there we go.
There you go.
There you go. Oh, do I have to pick?
Yes. or you can do what Jason did last week and pick a tie, and that lost him the predictions.
Oh,
I did
will
it.
do that.
Yeah.
Oh, no.
Who's
at home?
Yeah, who's at home?
NY.
The Jets.
Yeah.
I'll go Miami then.
That's interesting.
Going to Miami.
New York. Well, a Jet goes against a Dolphin, but out of water.
Like, I need to establish: is it a jet or is it Jet from Gladiators?
It's just a jet. It's like
As in a plane?
Is
yeah.
it?
Yeah,
Plane.
alright.
So what have you got against Jet from Gladiators?
Nothing.
Right.
That's what I'm going with. The Jet wins.
Get Jet in as a guest.
In fact, it's many Jets really because it's Jets. So
Plural.
And after seeing the Jets against the
But then
Bears
it's
last week...
Then it's Dolphins. They're all plurals.
that's true.
yeah,
Many
after
Dolphins.
seeing the Jets last week, I'm going to go Dolphins.
There we go. I've gone Dolphins as well. The game of the week: Nathan Peterman versus the Chicago Bears. I'm just going to go Bears. So
Yeah.
basically, do you want to? You've either got a bear or a buffalo.
Bear.
I think
Good choice.
Yeah,
Bears all round.
all round.
Bears. Do you get it? Bears all round. It's like beers, but with a different letter. Anyway, Panthers versus Buccaneers. So cat versus pirate.
Oh, can I go Buccaneers if it's Ryan Fitzpatrick?
It you can do what it's a predictions.
Yeah.
I'm not. I don't rule. I don't rule authoritatively here. This
No,
is what
you
you
can't
will
have.
predict.
No, I'll go Fitzmagic.
Who's
Um,
at home?
The Buccaneers.
Oh.
No, the Panthers.
Oh, crap.
Panthers at home. Panthers will win.
I think I'm going to go Bucks.
You think you're going to go Bucks?
I will go Bucks.
There you go. That's. We're not very confident with our predictions, are we? It sounds like Seahawks versus Chargers.
Ooh, Chargers.
Bow, bada, bow, bow. What's a charger?
I was going to say a phone charger.
Isn't it an
What?
electric bolt sort of thing?
Electric
Yeah.
charge.
Yeah, it's what they got as their
Electric
logo.
charge
Yeah.
against a what?
A
Seahawks.
Seahawk. A hawk from the sea.
Yeah, I would definitely have to pick with the Chargers.
Yeah,
Because,
to be fair, it's a hawk from the sea, electrocute the sea, hawk dies.
yeah.
See, I'm coming round to your logic here.
I was about to say, I think I'm actually going to go with Connor's logic there as well. And
So
yeah,
Connor-
you're winning us over,
Sound.
aren't you?
Connor's logic, I've just come up with the whole scenario. He's just sat there smiling.
my logic. I give you the inspiration for the logic.
I'm going Seahawks to be different. And I usually win, so there you go. Broncos, Texans. Deshaun Watson looking like Deshaun Watson.
Texans.
Yeah, Texans.
See, I would think
Horse versus a Texan.
yeah, Texans do like that guns,
They like to
And
ride,
they also ride horses.
they ride horses.
and the ride horses suggest that maybe at some point they've put a horse down, because that's what happens.
Take it out back and shoot the old horse.
Yeah, like old Yeller. Yeah, I would pick. I'm picking the Texans.
That's it. Sweet for the Texans. Saints versus Rams in what I think we can all say safely is the game of the week.
Rams.
So Ram would be a Saint.
Where is it? Is it at LA?
It is in New Orleans.
Ooh.
Nola.
I'm gonna go New Orleans. Inflict Rams' first defeat of the season.
So am I. I
I
think.
think I am as well.
Yeah. So that's me as well. Let's just have a look.
I've been at the Superdome
Ooh.
for WrestleMania.
Oh, should we talk about? We'll do some wrestling talk in any other business because I do like wrestling as well.
Yeah.
Should just have a separate podcast. Oh, we've gone over an hour, so we'd best hurry up. And you've got a podcast of your own coming up
I'm
in
meeting them in about 15 minutes.
50 minutes. So we'll take our time over these last two. Pats versus Packers.
Where is it?
Well, you should know.
Oh, just tell me anyway.
No.
Okay. No, I won't give you a prediction then.
Well, fine. You get no points. Patriots are at home, according to. I never know because I write them from Google, and then they're sometimes the other way around.
I'll go Patriots just for the sake of supporting them.
There we go. One for the Pats. It's November now, so I'm going to go Pats.
I'm going to say the home team, seeing as we're not sure which one it is.
The Packers are not going to beat anyone with no secondary and just Aaron Rodgers.
And having just shipped Ha Clinton Dix off.
Yeah.
That's it.
What would we even class a Packer as?
Don't say fudge.
I'm definitely not going to say fudge. It's now got a racist tone of this.
I said don't.
Yeah, I'm not saying that, but I mean, what is the mascot for Green Bay?
It's a big
block of cheese.
It's a block of
Cheese
cheese heads.
The cheese heads.
Nice. Okay. Well, from now on, Green Bay will be known as Cheese. So Cheese is going against a Patriot.
Yeah, I think the Patriot would eat the cheese.
If the cheese has gone off, then
It
That's
might-
what I'm thinking.
that's
It
an
might
option.
kill them from the inside, mightn't it?
Scurvy.
What kind of cheese are we talking?
That's pirates, isn't it?
Yeah. If it's
Oh,
blue,
is it cheddar? Is it?
no, but if it's a blue cheese, it could affect his stomach. So Patriot eats it, thinks he's won, but in reality, he gets beat last quarter.
And does
Yes.
it Browns?
Oh.
Yeah, and it Browns.
Browns it out.
So yeah, I'm now going to pick the cheese.
I'm going to just say whoever's at home.
Green Bay
well,
cheese.
I don't know. Right, that's
It's not really great for your NFL podcast if you don't know who's at home and away.
because the things.
I'd blame Google. Yeah.
I'm gonna go with Pirates. I think they're at home. So there we go.
I'm just going to Google New England Patriots.
Yeah, I was probably wrong. Cowboys versus Titans. Unfortunately, I'm gonna put Cowboys.
Yeah, I'm going Cowboys.
Titans.
Well, remember what I told you last week, where you were doing really well in the start of the predictions. Then the last four, you got drunk.
Well, the Patriots at home or away this weekend? Past weekend against Buffalo.
They were away, weren't they?
Yeah, it was in Buffalo.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, really
they're
not
at
selling
home.
ourselves here as an NFL podcast.
They're at home.
All right, so there you go.
There you go. So I'm right. I've got the English way. So Ed's going Titans because I think he's drunk again at the end of the podcast.
Titans against.
Cowboys. Cowboy has a gun.
I know. I mean,
Titan is a mythical kind of.
yeah, Titans.
thing.
Titans are Titan, isn't it? I mean, Titan's a good word.
Titan.
I pick Titans.
There we go. And that is your predictions for NFL this week. Any other business time? I mean, we're 1 hour, 2 minutes into the show, so it's kind of quick wrap up. Do you want to talk WWE or?
But I was just telling you that I've been to the Superdome. I don't actually watch wrestling at the moment. When I went to the Superdome, it was because my friend loved wrestling and I was living there. Not in New Orleans, but near enough. So that's why I went. It was good. It was the one where Daniel Bryan won and then he retired, got injured a month later. WrestleMania 30.
There you go.
There you go. Yeah.
Yeah.
There's your NFL chat. Not NFL. WWE chat.
I've also been to 2 NFL games.
I've been to 2.
Have you been to the NFL stadiums though?
Yeah. Wembley. NFL. It's got a big logo in the middle of the pitch.
That's true.
Yeah, and all my games have been at Wembley.
Yeah.
I've seen New Orleans twice away. I've been to Atlanta, New Orleans, and New Orleans won. Then I went to Giants, New Orleans, and Giants won.
I met a load of Americans this
Carl's
weekend.
been recently then.
I had a good weekend. I was at the game. Went down Saturday, 5:30 train in the morning because it's cheapest then.
I saw it on Instagram. Did
Yeah.
follow your day on Instagram.
It was a good day. I met a load of Americans, got loads of drinks. Went back to my hotel, got more drinks.
Can I just quickly point out that I've just read that Giants' backup quarterback's just been arrested for a traffic incident, or has been arrested for a traffic incident.
Well, Eli's obviously
So
done
Eli or the guy that's just been arrested. Is
I'd
your
still
choice.
go. I'd still go with the guy who's just been arrested. Any other business from anyone else?
MLS playoffs start on Thursday night. Soccer. where,
Soccer.
Do you like MLS?
where we have, what was it? Sunday was the final game of the regular season. Stop.
What is that?
And basically, Atlanta were set to win the Supporters' Shield, which is the big overall thing before the playoffs, big title. And they bottled it, and it went to the New England Red Bulls.
New England Red
I mean,
Bulls.
the New York
No,
Red
New York
Bulls.
Red Bulls.
Come on.
That's the one.
Steady on.
Yeah, I saw that though. Atlanta got a bit of Toronto. Didn't
Yeah.
they? Shame.
There you go. And how do we feel about Newcastle losing again? Oh no, they didn't. They drew. They got a
I
point.
didn't say they drew.
You see, I was really drunk at the weekend. Is this podcast material?
Probably not. I'll probably wrap it up. You went now 5 minutes.
I went over 5 minutes. So thanks for tuning in, everyone. If you've want to get in touch, it's at Pick6Pod on Twitter, at Stu on Sport.
At JasonB_Journo.
At EO Painter.
At Conor Bromley.
There you go. So we'll be back next week with more fantastic mythical battles between mascots and NFL predictions, which I am likely to win because I am awesome. Thanks for tuning in. We'll be back next week.